Well, hello and welcome to our kitchen. I'm Peggy and I welcome you. And guess who's here? Marie Hegler's here from Clemson University, one of my favorite people to work with. And she always brings good, what I call sensible kind of food that we all need.
Tastes good, right? And it's good for you.
And it's good for you, that's right. So it tastes good and it's good for you. And today she has some ideas. The folder is called Dinner for Two, but then she says, oh no, it can be 4, 6, 8, however many you want. So don't worry about it.
Yeah,
right?
If you have more than one or two people. If you have
more than 2 people, you can easily enhance the recipe.
True, and the basis behind it is that I was writing a lesson for how to cook for 1 or 2 people for work, and which is actually hard to do when you think about it. Yeah. Especially if you're living alone or you're at home.
Like a few leftovers.
True. So, but there's those rare people. I don't know who these people are, but they don't like leftovers for whatever reason. So, but if you like leftovers, you can make more of this. If you don't, you can curb it back down to 2 people. Okay. And the idea is just that it's the right amount of portions for this particular meal. And there's with all these like meal kit kind of things out there that you can get the ingredients shipped to your house, and it's always in just the amount that you need. And some people like that. So I was kind of playing around with that idea and was trying out recipes from some of those different meal kind of prep kit things. And this one was one of them. And so I was like, wow, this is really good. And it's the perfect portion. So then I kind of played around with it. And it just seemed, it's also a good fall dinner. And
great.
Again, you could make this, we're going to make it as if we're making it for 2 people, but it is easy to make it for 4 people, 6 people. You kind of have increments of 2. Or I guess you could just play with it.
All right. Or if you want some leftovers, you can make it a little bit more.
I love leftovers, but like there's some
I'm always grateful to have a few leftovers.
And if you are cooking for 1 or 2 people, that is making things like soups and sauces in bulk and freezing them is always a good idea. You could make, I'm getting ahead of myself, we're making balsamic meatloaf with roasted green beans and mashed sweet potatoes. And with these meatloafs, you could easily, either you can bake them and then freeze them, or you could make them, form them, and then just pop in the freezer and bake them when you want to.
Okay.
But we're going to get started with the mashed sweet potatoes because they're going to take a little while to boil. I have some in there right now. I'm trying to get the water up, but I was going to show you just quickly how to prepare these. So for 2 people, how many sweet potatoes do you need?
Well, I guess that one big one.
Yeah. Just one big sweet potato, which is one of those things I didn't realize until I made this, and I was like, wow, that really does make enough for 2 people. I didn't, because normally you just have like, everybody would have their own. All right.
But if I'm going to the effort to fix something, I like to have something left over.
Yes, correct. So you're going to peel this all the way through, and then you're going to make, if you look in there, there's some cubes of sweet potatoes, so you'll just chop that into some cubes like so, and then you're going to cover it with water, and you will bring this to a boil, and it's going to boil for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to add some stuff to that as well. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get the meatloaf going. So what we have here for 2 people, we're going to use 10 ounces of lean ground beef. You can use ground turkey. You could use venison. You could use a mixture of things. Whatever kind of ground meat you have. Ground chicken, you could do that as well. 10 ounces is about, it's less than a pound, obviously. But when you buy in the store, it kind of varies if you're buying ground beef. So in this case, you could easily just cut that, whatever portion, take 10 ounces out, then freeze the rest. Or again, you could just make it all, make a bunch of different little meatloafs and freeze that. Okay. But all you need for this is 10 ounces, so basically you're looking at a 5-ounce serving per person. Per person, okay. Which is a nice, and it's not, that's a good size serving. It's not, it might in your head think it's small, but I'll show you what it looks like in a minute. So we have ground beef, and now we're gonna add some flavor agents to this. And we're gonna start with a clove of garlic that has been minced, was gonna go in there. We're going to add a little bit of salt, a half a teaspoon of salt. Let's see which one this is. That's that. So I just have some kosher salt, whatever kind of salt you want. And if you're watching your salt, you don't have to put any salt in there.
All right.
We're going to add some fresh ground pepper. And that's just to whatever.
So this is kind of your basic
Yes, just a basic meatloaf. I'll show you, there's going to be some balsamic added to this.
Okay.
But it's going to happen after we do this. So we have garlic, we have salt. We're also going to add some panko breadcrumbs, which is just, you can get it just in the breadcrumbs section, or you can just use regular breadcrumbs.
Okay.
So this is 1/4 of a cup of breadcrumbs, essentially.
So actually, any kind of breadcrumbs would go.
Yes, any kind will do. And the last thing we're going to do, I think I got everything there, is before we mix this together, is we're going to grate some onion into this, into the meatloaf. So I have 1/2 of an onion that we're going to grate.
Okay.
I'm hoping I don't cry because when I made this earlier, I did. So
well, we won't let you cry. Okay.
We'll pretend like, and it's just, well, I don't know if you can see this, but you just grate it down like a cheese. And what this does is it's going to make you cry probably, but it's also going to just make it fine. It's going to bring out that juice in it, so it's going to make this a little bit more flavorful because that's all going to get in there. It's not just like you're going to bite into it and get a chunk of onion in it. It'll be finer.
So you want it kind of fine.
Yes.
All right.
So you see that's just like a...
Okay.
And we're going to add that to this as well. And then we're going to get our hands in this.
Well, all good cooks do that.
That's right. So we're just going to mix this together. Again, that was 1/2 of onion grated, a clove of garlic, 1/4 of a cup of breadcrumbs of your choice, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, some pepper, and then 10 ounces of whatever ground meat you like to make with your meat, whatever kind of ground meat you make meatloaf with. Goes in there.
You can use, chuck or ground round steak or whatever you want.
Yes, doesn't matter.
And you could do this with something other than beef.
Yes, you could do.
Okay.
Yeah, any kind of beef, but then you could do ground turkey.
Okay.
You could mix it. That would make it a little leaner if you did like 1/2 ground turkey, 1/2 ground beef. So you're going to make it into a ball, and then you're going to split it evenly in half. And then you're going to form. And this is good if you do want to make this. If you want to make this so if you were going to make this for 4 people, you would use a whole onion, 2 cloves of garlic, a whole teaspoon of salt, 20 ounces of ground beef, which is a little over a pound, whatever else.
And this folder will have all that instructions in it.
Yes, correct. So we're going to make these into nice little loaves, so you want it, it's almost like you're making a hamburger, but you're going to make it a little bit like in a loaf sort of format. So you want it to be
kind of a mini loaf.
Little mini loaf. And people will put these, make individual meatloafs and they'll put it in muffin tins or little mini
But
bread
you don't
loaves.
even have to do that.
This is just going to be free-formed.
Okay.
So you just make it, voila, like that. I'm going to put this over here real quick. I'm going to grab my baking sheet and wash my hands really quickly.
Okay. Now these are all, we're always happy to share these recipes. And we try to give you things that are easy and wholesome. And thanks to Marie Hegler and Clemson University, we have this to share with you today. And it is recipe number 1014. And if you'd like that, you can send us a self-addressed stamped envelope. It really helps us. And just be sure you put the number of the recipe, because we have so many recipes, and we open that envelope, and we don't know what you really wanted. So it's recipe 1014, and we'll send it to you. No charge. Okay, now what is this?
So the beauty of this particular recipe is you're going to be using very few pots and pans, which is great.
All right.
I feel like when you're cooking, one of the things, if you're just cooking for 2 people, you don't want to make a big mess.
No.
Because it's
Oh, no.
kind of a hassle. So what we're going to be doing is, so we have one pot that we're going to have the sweet potatoes, and you can see they're bubbling now. And again, we're going to let those cook for a while, and then we'll mash them up. So on this pan, we're actually going to cook the green beans and the meatloaves all together on this one pan.
Okay.
But of course, meatloaf is going to cook a little bit longer than green beans. And the other thing is we would want to preheat our oven to 450.
450,
which
all
is
right.
pretty high and hot, but it's going to cook things quicker. So the whole cooking time of everything is good 25 minutes, 25, 30 minutes. So it's a quick meal if you know what you're doing, because of course you have to, if you're first time making something, it's going to take a little longer.
This is a great meal for this time of year.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It's warm, it's comforting. It's delicious. And you have, when we plate it up, you'll see you got all the major colors. You'll have orange and green, and you have your meatloaf. So I have a baking sheet that I'm just going to coat with cooking spray on. So you can either do this one of two ways. You can put your meatloaves in the middle and surround it with green beans later, or you can do one side of meatloaf, one side of...
I want to see what you're going to do. You're the artist.
I know, I'm going to put it in the middle. So we're going to take our meatloaf and just plop them in the middle. And we're going to be tossing the green beans with some olive oil and things, so we're not going to need to necessarily spray this whole pan. It's just going to be for the meatloaf. So let me wash my hands real quick. Keep handling ground beef.
Okay. Recipe number 1014. This is great for this time of year, especially. And it's not that difficult. It's something you can do kind of in a hurry.
Yes.
Okay.
And again, there's a lot of things that you have on hand, or you might have on hand to make this dish as well. The only thing, one thing you might not have is you might not have your green beans, sweet potatoes, or...
Well, you might have to go to the store.
Yeah, you might. You might have to. So what we're going to do to make it a balsamic meatloaf, we're going to be adding, because usually meatloaf has ketchup. If you don't have ketchup, I feel like it's like blasphemy or something.
All right.
So we have a little bit of ketchup we're going to top it with. We're going to add some balsamic, which is giving a nice like tang to it.
I'm anxious to see what you're going to do here.
It sounds weird, but it's really good. Actually, I'm going to use this. So this is 2 tablespoons of ketchup.
All right.
And with 2 tablespoons of ketchup, we're going to add a tablespoon of balsamic vinegar. And again, you could always just do ketchup if that's your thing and you don't feel like do anything a little bit different. You can just go with the ketchup, spread it on top of it, and call it a day. But this does make a really unique... I'm going to try to easily, gently stir this together. So we got the oven preheating at 450. We got your sweet potatoes in cooking. And we're going to slowly whisk this together. So it's going to make kind of a thick sauce. Then we're going to spread it on top. Smell that vinegar.
Okay. You got that pretty well mixed up.
All right.
All right. Now you put that on top.
Just drizzle it on top. Make sure I get both of these coated pretty well.
So this is a little different than just your plain old meatloaf.
Yes.
But it's still easy.
Oh yeah, it's super easy.
Okay. Oh,
so you drizzle that on top.
Okay.
And yes, we didn't have a lot of stuff going on inside the meatloaf, so this sauce is a good little sauce to go with it.
Now what else do you have to do to this?
This is complete for the moment. So what we're going to do is pop this into an oven, 450-degree oven, for 10 minutes.
Okay.
We're going to let that cook, and then once that cooks, we're going to add the green beans to it.
Okay. We're going to go to a break, and this is recipe number 1014. And if you would like it, we'll be delighted to share it with you at no cost. Send us that self-addressed stamped envelope. The Peggy Denny Show, Post Office Box 1616, Greenville, South Carolina, 29602. And that's recipe 1014. We'll be right back.